Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Friday evening, and we're just starting to get if you're wondering why I'm wearing a sweatshirt in the middle of summer when it's hot and humid up here, it's because my air conditioning is so high. I just noticed how freezing cold it is in here. I had to turn it up a little bit. I had to raise it up. So I'm in a sweatshirt, a hoodie, only because it's cold here. You may wonder, because it's summer and here I'm wearing a hoodie. That's why. And it's starting to thunderstorm out here. I was just outside watching the thunderstorm rolling in, and it's just gorgeous. It's one of those sunsets where all that golden light starts coming in because it's so refracted by the bank of clouds. There was this big swirl of gray over toward the sun and the billowy clouds behind it that are really illuminated as that storm front is rolling in. So hopefully we don't have any shortage of power or anything like that when we're going through the show tonight. But it's absolutely gorgeous. If you're here up in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, the Twin Cities. Now I'm east of there, just across the border in Wisconsin. So western Wisconsin, we're about 45 minutes from the Twin Cities area. You get the idea, and if you're local to this area. So tonight, as I mentioned, we're going to be doing some Tarr-oh tonight. And we're going to get started pretty quick. Now, there is no Rocky Stucci's Situation Room tonight because, of course, it's Friday. And our Friday show aired at midnight this morning or last night. That's why it's the Friday show, because it's out east. It's midnight and it's 11 p.m. here locally last night. So that in the central time zone. So unless that confuses you, sometimes we confuse ourselves, because our Sunday show, Sunday night, is actually Monday, because it airs on Monday morning out east, midnight. And so Monday through Thursday is the Situation Room. And I want to thank you all for joining us last night when we had Dan Madsen on. That was a fantastic show. I always love talking to Dan Madsen. And I love talking Star Trek. And having a friend like him, I've known him for a long time. He is such a gracious, loving, good-hearted man. And something I know I've told this story a little bit before, and we didn't even mention it last night when I was interviewing him. But back in the last season of Star Trek: The Next Generation, he got me in to see the Star Trek Next Generation sets on the Paramount backlot. I mean, we're not talking the setups they have in Vegas or the setups they have in the mall or things like that at special attractions. We're talking the real thing. And so he got me in back in 94. And I know I've told the story before, so I'm not going to tell it again. But other than to say that I was on the actual bridge of the Enterprise for Next Generation. I got to walk through all the sets, the transporter room, the sick bay, the engineering room, and all of that stuff. And that's when I got to meet Patrick Stewart as well. They were filming in the cave sets, so nobody was on the ship. And we had the whole ship set studio to ourselves. And then over at the cave set, Jean-Luc Picard, Patrick Stewart, I got to meet him. And he was very gracious, and it was fun meeting him as well and sitting and talking to him for a few minutes. So that's Dan did that for me, by the way, if you missed that last night. And of course, we got to talk Star Trek here on my own program. And so I want to thank you all for being there for both of those. Let me take a sip of coffee. My day generally starts around 4:35 a.m. And, I'm not, it's like my son, who is now 18, once said. He put out a meme of some sort on Facebook that said, all those times I didn't want to take a nap as a kid, I wish I had those all back now. So that's the way it is sometimes when you get to be my age. You run all day long, and then you burn out toward the end of the day. So I'm I'm drinking coffee at night, and that'll help keep me up all night. So there you go. I just want to say hi to everybody who's here. Topper, I see you there. You got to make the Star Trek cruise someday. It looks like a good time. Yeah, I may have to do that. That sounds like fun. So I've thought about it, but I'd want to go with my wife. My wife doesn't travel well. Rainey doesn't like airplanes. Rainey doesn't like cruise ships. They just make her sick, and she just does not have a good time. We once took a plane together to Washington, D.C. Now, we don't fly. It's funny. We haven't taken lots of trips, and we've done a lot of driving, though. But back in 2007, we went to see my publisher out in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and we flew out to Washington, D.C. and drove down from there. And my wife did not do well on the plane. And that's the last time. No, we went to Colorado to the Stanley Hotel once. We flew out there to Denver and drove up to the Stanley. And that was the next year, I think. And then after that, we were married, started having babies. And now the oldest baby is going to be 10 years old in August. That's my 10-year-old son. And we got the 7-year-old girl, the 4-year-old girl. And I remember we were going to fly to Egypt together a few years ago in 2014, I believe it was. And that was when the last child came, who is going to be 5 years old this winter. And so that nixed those plans because the trip to Egypt would have taken place during the time she was just about ready to give birth. You really can't fly internationally when you're over 7 months pregnant. Excuse me. And so we didn't get to go. But so she doesn't travel well. All that to Topper to say maybe one of these days a cruise. We'll have to see. So let me go back here. I just want to say hi to everybody. Melinda, good to see you. Tracy, good to see you. Jason, always good to see you too. Let's see. Jeff hit that nail on the head. I want to see what you're talking about there. And Jason, since you're the very first one who was in the chat room tonight, evening, Scotty, it'd be cool to see what my 3 cards would be. Let's go ahead and we'll do you first. And in just a second here, let's see if we can get a list going here. Last time we went for 2 hours and we fit 12 readings in. So we'll see what we do here. Let me get, I was going to have a piece of paper. Pardon me for doing this like this. I can't write on that. Oh, look at that. That's a book my little Ellery made for me. So there you go. And it's several pages of the same thing, all pinned together with a pin from the show Supernatural. So there you go. My daughter made that for me. That's not what I'm looking for, though. Here's what I'm looking for. Something to write on. And let's get, we'll get a list going. We've got Jason is first. So I'm going to put Jason on here. And let me just start to scroll through. I see Becky. I see her on there second. And let's see. Tracy Dyer, it's good to see you here as well. And Becky, I said hi to. Topper, Audrey, great to see you. Yes, and please, like Audrey asked, please share the show. And we've picked up a few more subscribers this week. I appreciate that. And let's keep that rolling. And Audrey, it's so good to see you too. Let's see. Tracy, you're talking about the Bible, the Mandelas, specifically wolf and lamb. Could be that we've upgraded timelines to have that revealed. Paul being the wolf leading the lambs. Possibly. That's some interesting stuff there. We start getting into the Mandela stuff. One thing I have found is that people who take to the Bible about the Mandelas and the Bible and so on, there's several examples of that, but what they're not accounting for is English translation of ancient Greek. And sometimes you really have to go back and you have to see what version or translation you're looking at. And I don't know enough about it to speak to it, other than I know that much. There's going to be things in translation. I think there was one about wineskins to bottles, and that's just different translation of the same kind of vessel that would carry something to drink. Wineskin bottle. It really worked out to be the same thing in translations. So it all depended on who was translating. You have to go back to the original Koine Greek to see what the heck they're talking about. So let's see. I want to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Susie Q, good to see ya. And let's see. Spirit Heart, Gods and Goddesses. Spirit, good to see you, brother. And going on, Rocky Stucci's in the room. Good to see you, Rocky. Rocky and I had lunch together today in St. Paul, Minnesota, with a good friend of ours. So I got to hang with Rocky this afternoon and eat Italian food. So it was all right. And let's see. We got going through here. Terry Electra, good to see you. Michelle, good to see you as well. And let's see. I'm looking to see if anybody else, if I'm not missing it, anybody who might have. I hate it when it does that. You're scrolling through, and then a comment comes in, and it jumps your whole thread. So let's see. How to pronounce my name out of the blue? Spirit Bixby. So you got Picard. I got Kirk. Yeah, you did, Audrey. You did. Let's see. Going through. Betsy Richardson, good to see you. And there jumped again on me, but I think I'm caught up. And Lucky Stone, good to see you, Lucky Stone. And so here's what we'll do. Let's start right here now. I've already got Jason and Becky. If you'd like to have me do a card reading, just put it in all caps. Melinda, I see you there. Let's get you in here. Melinda. And let's see who else we got. So you go ahead, and I've got Jason, Becky, and Melinda so far. Tracy, I've got you, and Terry. So Tracy and Terry. Now, so it doesn't get too convoluted here. Let's see. Do me, says Terry. Okay, I'm gonna do you, Terry. You know what I mean? I just want to do a Rocky face whenever I say that. Do you? All right. So, all right. Terry, Lucky. Let's see. Betsy. Do I got Betsy? Have you got you on here? Let's do Betsy. Okay. For right there, let's end at Betsy for now, and then I'll come back and we'll look for some more. Because if I've got to scroll back up through the list, it'll be interesting. Oh, Susie Q, we can do you. Let's throw you on the list. Susie Q. All right, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 so far. Did I miss anybody along the way there? I got Terry. I got Rocky Face. Reminds me of Sam the Eagle. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? So Audrey, 17 watching and 12 likes. Come on, guys. There you go. You know, it's funny. Well, some of the people watching the video, they don't ever mention themselves in the chat room. So sometimes you can have a lot more people watching that are not showing up in the chat room. So it ends up, most of my videos, we end up having about 150 to 200 people that have watched it. But that's not always live and during the same time. So I appreciate that, by the way, for all of yous. Listen to me. What am I, Rocky? All of you that are watching, I appreciate that. And I appreciate the likes. So let's see. And also, if you've got any friends, you want to spread the word a little bit, it'd be nice to have more subscribers come in. I have to get over that magical 1,000. So maybe I can start to set this page up as something that starts to generate a little revenue coming in the door. And that's nice. You can do that once you hit over 1,000. And the reason I ask that is, you know, we take a lot of time to prep for radio, to do radio. I mean, Rocky, Rocky spends a good 5 to 6 hours a day prepping for a show, but then he's got to go work his real job. And I know Jeff. I think that's his sole living right now is off of his channel. But he's also got 50,000 followers that come and watch his show, and so he can monetize a bit and things like that. So that's a little bit of the business side of this that you don't like to talk about. It's cringeworthy sometimes because you hate talking about, hey, hit that donate button. But you know what I've got instead of the donate button so far? You can go get yourself some of our shirts and our mugs with the designs that I make. This isn't one of them that's up there yet. This is an older design you can see, but this is the kind of stuff I do. This is from the old Paradigm Symposium days. And so we've got a bunch of shirts and hoodies and all kinds of designs. It's Son of a Patriot. And you can see that over on streamingtalkradio.com. And that's Rocky's site and my site by association. And it's got it's got Dougherty, it's got Bauer, it's got Stucci, it's got Roberts. It's got links to all our stuff. And you can also see all the links to our advertisers, as well as links to Son of a Patriot. So if you go over to the main page, scroll down a bit, you'll see it. You can't miss it. And so Susie Q says she has hers. That's fantastic, Susie. And thank you, Audrey, for putting that into the chat room. All right. So now, so far, guys, if I haven't missed anybody, if I have, point it out to me as we go. But I've got Jason, Becky, Melinda, Tracy, Terry, Betsy, and Susie. That's the list I'm going to go by so far. And let's see how far we get with those and see what happens. Now, Tarr-oh, I think what I'm going to do is stick to what I've been doing, and that is the 3-card spread. And I will do my best to try to give you, in a very short period of time, the gist of what I'm seeing here, and we can take it from there. And there's something I want to throw out there too, is that here I'm going to look for a link right now because I don't have it up. But if you go to my page, scottallenroberts.com, I know that oops, I hit the wrong link. And I know Audrey will probably help me out this here too and put this up here. But let me grab this link. If you go over here, let me find my live channel again. And you go to this link. I'm just now pasting it into the chat room. Scott Allen Roberts, there you go. And Audrey has it. I don't know. Does Tarr-oh all by itself just get you there? Does it have to have the .html? I'm not sure. So go to scottallenroberts.com/Tarr-oh.html. It's an old website. It's not all modernized and all of that, although it looks cool. Go over there. You'll see 2 listings for PayPal links, Pay Now links. And one is for the 5-card reading. I think it says 5-card on there. Yeah, 5-card. That's a past, present, future. I put 5-card in there. I updated it because you do 3 to 5 cards is what we do with that. And that's for $45. And then you get a 10-card Celtic Cross spread for $85. Now, what I will do, because of this radio show, anybody who signs up for the $45 reading, that's all you're going to have to pay. If you sign up for a $45 reading tonight, let's call it by midnight my time, which is 2.5 hours from now, 2 hours and 40 minutes from now, sometime in the next 2 hours and 40 minutes, midnight Central Standard Time, you purchase the $45 reading, and I will give you the 10 card reading, the $85 reading. But that's for tonight only. And we'll probably only do that during the nights of the shows. So what I want to do is whet your appetite by showing you with these 3-card readings what it's like, what these readings are like. And I want to thank all those who did that for me last week. I've had several readings this week. And if you're here and you had a reading from me, a full reading this last week, and you want to share with people how that went, please do. That'd be kind of cool. And so now tonight, the special is, before let's see, 2.5 hours from now is midnight Central Standard Time, which would be 1 a.m. out east. That would be 10 p.m. on the left coast. So by midnight, my time, Central Standard Time, you sign up for the $45 5-card reading over on my page at that link. You'll get the 10-card reading. And 10-card readings sometimes turn into 10, 11, and 12-card readings because we throw down extra cards for clarity. And they take about an hour. Sometimes I've had them go an hour and a half. I've had them go an hour, hour and 5, hour and 10 minutes. So there you go. That gives you an idea. So there's my special for tonight, and let's get rolling. Let's start with Jason Rios. And I'm going to move this mic. I'm going to get my boom mic back in here because I hate conflicting with this thing. And I'm just looking on my video screen here to see, and you can see it just right in my face. So, and if I move it too far away, you're not going to be able to hear me. So, so I'm going to have this right here. Here we go. Jason, this reading's for you. Now I'm going to shuffle 3 times. I do that mostly to clear the cards, and it rearranges them for you. And whoever's giving the message, be it God, your angels, your spirit guides, the universe, whoever, I don't think they need any help shuffling the deck, but they're going to do what they're going to do, no matter what we do. And so they're going to give you the message you want to hear. I'm sorry, that they want to give you, not necessarily what you want to hear sometimes. I've had to use that line sometimes with people to say, you know, you might not have liked that message, but it's something you needed to hear. So I'm going to cut the deck for you, Jason. If you were here, I'd have you do that yourself. Here we go. All right. Now we're ready to read for Jason. All ears now, Jason. Here we go. Your first card is the card of your current situation, which is the Fool card. You see that card? That is your current. Now, and sometimes the meanings mean a little different than what you see on the surface, so don't let that worry you too much. Now, the card of your recent past is the 6 of Wands. There is the 6 of Wands. And the card of your near future is the Queen of Coins. Now, all these suits have something different to say. The Fool is part of the major arcana. So the Fool card is going to be something that hang on a second. I'm going to clear something out here. Boom. All right. The Fool card is from the major arcana. And you got the major arcana, which is kind of these messages from the universe. Then you got 4 suits. You got the wands, the coins, the cups, and the swords that all are different parts of our emotional makeup and have different things that they emphasize for our lives. And individually, these cards are fairly vague. If I just pulled one card for you and it was this, it would have a message for you that was kind of vague and you'd have to interpret it. But with the more cards you start laying down to modify that first card you put down, the more information you're going to get. So now this is the Fool. Now the Fool card from the major arcana, this is in the position of your current situation. That means this is where you are right now. It's also, by the way, the first card in the Tarot deck is the Fool card. And the Fool, as you can see, now all these decks all have sometimes different bits of imagery on them and so on. The Rider-Waite is going to look a little different than this one, and some of the traditional decks might look a little different. I'm going to move this mic up just in case I'm not talking directly into it. And this is the idea of the Fool's kind of the carnival entertainer, the huckster, all by himself. He's sometimes portrayed as vulnerable, decrepit, all of those kinds of things. But what this really is all about is it shows the Fool is the guy, he's walking down the path. He's had some very good things happen to him. And he is He has got expectations of his future. Um, he he's got his head in the clouds a bit, and he's looking to see where he's going. It's a card of change. It's a card of movement from one thing to another. But as he's doing this, he doesn't have his focus on where his feet are falling. He's focused on the stuff that's around him, the beautiful clouds, the beautiful expectations of what lie ahead now. And in so doing, he's walking down, and most of the deck. So you see him here. He's playing a little happy tune on his flute, and he's walking along. And the dog is there. The dog in the old decks is there, barking at his feet and warning him because his next footfall is going to take him off the edge of a cliff. Meaning, you're in this great place. You're playing the happy tune. You're looking at the things around you. You're moving from one thing to another. But at the same time, your focus isn't in the immediate. It's not where your feet are falling. You're not taking the proper precautions to figure out where you've been, where you're going. You're focused on the energy of it. Oh, cool. I've got this great thing going on, or I'm transitioning from this to that. But you're not watching the small stuff around you. And the dog is there to kind of tell him, you got to pay better attention. There isn't, but the message is there's nothing to be gained by thinking you possess all the knowledge and all the expectation of what you're doing and where you're going and the good things happening. If you're not paying attention to where your feet fall, you're not paying attention to the possible pitfalls of what lies ahead. And so this is a thing that says you have to be spontaneous enough to stretch yourself beyond the realm of logic, but you also have to lighten up and you have to pay attention. So you're moving somewhere, you're going forward, you're doing things, but you have to give your complete attention to the events as they're occurring around you in whatever this is, whatever's going on in your life right now. Otherwise, you could run into the brick wall. You could run off the end of a cliff. You could, your next foot might snap your ankle because you're not paying attention. So this is one. Jason, the fool is epitomizing who you are in your current. Good things have happened. You're moving. Lighten up about some things, but pay attention. Know where you're going. Know what you're doing. Now, that comes off of the card of your recent past, the Six of Wands. Now, the Six of Wands, I've always seen this as the card of, now, if you look, you can see that there are riders, and they're all on horseback, and they're carrying away the banner of the enemy. They've also got the laurel wreath there. And so they've won victories. They've got accolades coming. They have won a battle, if you want to take it into military terms. And so they're riding away, and they've got all this stuff, and they're celebrating because of what they've got. But this is the idea of you've taken action, and you're taking action on possibly some of your most burning emotional things, your convictions, the things that make you go. And no matter what the moral consequences are, you're going after it. You're working hard at it. And you might find yourself the leader, like this guy here. He's the leader of this group. And what you're doing is you're moving forward, and you've won battle, and you're celebrating, and it's saying, that's okay. Go ahead and celebrate. You've got something to celebrate. This is telling me in your recent past, Jason, you've had some reason for something that's been going on in your life, either a temporary little thing, a big thing, whatever it might be. You've won some victories and things where you can go, yeah, I got the laurel wreath. I came through that all right. I did okay. But the card is saying, celebrate, and celebrate to the fullest, but celebrate from horseback. Don't even get out of the saddle, because you're riding from this battle you just won into another one that's right around the bend. So celebrate, but celebrate with your spurs on, with your sword sheathed, or maybe unsheathed, is the idea. So something has gone on in your recent past that In the wands, that's the suit of your emotions, the things that make you go, the stuff that sets the fire in your life. It's not romance and passions, it's emotions. It's the stuff we bring to the table when we, it could be job related, it could be relationship related, it could be just creativity related. The wands can also refer to industry, not the material aspects, that's the coins, but this is the things you bring to what you do in life. So all that energy, that exuberance, that excitement, saying you've won something, and it's worthy of patting yourself on the back. But keep in mind, you're heading right into the next one, so it ain't over. Recent past, that's the energy that's plopped you into the present, which is the Fool, which leaves you going, I got something to celebrate. Ah, yes, expectations of good things ahead. But like this past card says, mind your feet, mind where your feet fall. And because the next step could take you off the edge of the cliff, you've got another thing coming, is the idea. You got more stuff happening to you. So you have to pay attention. Now, all of this is leading you into this card. It's the Queen of Coins. Now, royal face cards like these, you see, this is the queen in the suit of coins, and queens and kings in readings generally represent specific real people in your life, a woman in your life, and this is like a wife, a mother, an aunt, a boss, somebody that's a strong female character in your life that you're going to recognize. It can also mean it's talking about you, that you are exhibiting the qualities or taking on the qualities of this particular royal person. And in this case, the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Coins. Now, if you look at her, she's like a feminine guardian. She's endowed with this enormous good sense, problem solving. She's got the coins here. You see her, she's holding the coin, or it's up above her. Let's look. Yeah, it's just up above her. And she's got all this plenty on her plate. The imagery here, it's just saying she's royal. She's not as top as the king, but she's the next best thing. She's the queen. She's the power behind the king. And this is something that says, trust the forces that have taken care of you up to this point. Continue to express your truth without worrying that you're going to lose the roof over your head or the bed you sleep in. It's your destiny to be safe and sound at this time in your life. So the idea is proceed with confidence and do what you know you want to do. Put your hand to it. Even if it feels like you're going against the grain or against the current a little bit. This is a card that says, put everything you've got into what you're doing, because whatever that victory was in the past, it's saying you got more battles ahead, and you got the Fool card. You're moving into something new. Just mind the pitfalls, but you're heading into energy from this moment out, the near future, which can be changed, by the way, because it hasn't happened yet. But it's saying that this other energy of the Six of Wands and the Fool are pushing you into this energy of where you are putting on or exhibiting the qualities of that queen who's got her shit together. And it's in material things because it's the coin. So it could be your finances. It could be your material well-being, all of those things. So you're heading into a very good time, but one that requires that you take what you know and apply it. That you take what you know and apply that to your leadership skills and whatever you're entering into. And there you go. That's all I got for a quickie. And so I hope that one works for you, Jason. And much confirmation. Fantastic. So there you go. That's what it says. And you can see, folks, how these messages can be a little vague. You just have to read into them for what the cards are actually saying, what they mean when you put them down. And then how they link up with each other in a reading, what it's telling you, the stuff that modifies or amplifies each other. So there you go. Good, Jason. I'm glad that was good for you. Becky, let's move on to you, Becky. I'm going to shuffle up for you now, and we're just going to kind of move along at a little bit of a clip here. And Jason, that was good for you. And here we go, Becky. Let's see what we got for you. And folks, remember, go over to my site, that link, scottallenroberts.com, and click on the Tarot link on the top links up above. And for the $45 reading until midnight Central tonight, you can get the 10-card reading for the $45 price. And anybody else, if through the week you would like to get a reading, you can just go ahead and sign up over there, and we'll line you up. All right, one more time shuffling, Becky, and then let's read your cards. Let's see what we got here. All right, if you were here, Becky, I'd have you cut the deck. So I'm going to cut it just like that for you. And two of them fell off the bottom, so I'm going to put those right on the top. I always do that. If I ever drop a card or flip it out, I always pick it up, and that's the first card. Because there's a reason it popped out of the deck, is the way I like to treat it. Okay, Becky, you ready to roll here? Are you there? We're all shuffled up for you. Where are you, Becky? Let me know you're still there. I believe it was Becky. Or was it Suze? I don't know. Becky, are you in here even? Oh, you know what? I read the moniker wrong. I'll bet you that was Suze. Suze, did you ask for a reading way back in there? I'm going to look. Maybe it was Suze. Because she said it, who I know is Suze. And then I've got Becky's is something similar like that. And maybe I just misread it at the very beginning here. Maybe that was you. Oh, I think that was you, Suze. It wasn't Becky. Please, me for a read. Susan, this is you. This is you. So Susan, front and center. Betsy is a little further down the line here. Becky she's got a moniker that my eyes sometimes misread them when I'm not wearing my glasses, and because they're the pseudonyms for monikers. Becky's, I always have to look at, and I always have to look at Suze's. I always have to look for the at the end, and Becky's is something like that. So my apologies, Suze. I'm going to reshuffle this only because my focus was on somebody that isn't you. So here we go. All right. Let's see. And then I got Susie Q is different than Suze. And you're a little further down the line, Susie Q. This one's for Suze. Out there down under. So let's see. Would you ever have thunk you'd be sitting and in the moment getting a reading from somebody in the Tarot live half the globe away from you? Technology is amazing. All right. This is for Suze. And one more shuffle for you, Suze. All right. Now, if you were here, Suze, I'd have you put your hand to the deck and cut it for me. Let's go ahead and do that for you. And on your behalf, I should say. And let's read them. Your first card, the card of your current situation, Suze, is the Eight of Cups. And that looks like that. And Cups is the suit of passions. Could be romances, could be relationships. It's all that stuff it's a step away from emotions. It's the passions. It's the drive in that category of life. And by the way, if you notice my dirty fingernails, I got stain on them. And when I hold them up to the camera real close and people see that, it's not because I have dirty fingernails. My fingers are stained from paints and stuff that I was working with on an old trunk out in the garage. So yesterday was coffee grounds. I had coffee grounds in my fingernails. So card of your recent past is the Empress. All right. And the card of your near future, things you're moving into, it's the Nine of Wands. All right. And there you go. So let's start to take these one by one. Suze, Here you go. I just want to see what it says here. All right. This is your first card. This now take a look at this card. Excuse me. This is the 8 of Cups. And the cups have to do with your passions. It has to do with the things that govern your relationships, not just romantic relationships. It could be husband and wife thing. It could be boyfriend girlfriend thing, man woman thing, whatever you want to call it. It could be family stuff, things like that, close relationships. And the 8 of the suit is usually used to signify disappointment, emotional setback, betrayal, or injury of the heart. And so this is what this kind of is saying here. Now, if you look, he's walking down a road and he's walking away from something back in the past behind him. This is the idea of looking inside. You're recognizing a part of you that kind of nurses old grudges from either a past injury or a trauma or something that's gone wrong. And like one of the other cards, it's the 6 of Swords that says people moving away from things that are no longer tolerable for them. This is fairly similar. This is a thing that's a card of saying getting on with your life. There may still be a part of you that holds out and resists healing, but you're nursing old wounds. And here's the message with this, Suze. If you are still nursing old wounds, you're still being, in a way, and when I say influenced by them, I only mean not that it's your main drive, but it's things that still governs patterns of thought. This is something that says you got to let that thing go. It's in the past. You've gone down the road. You're walking by moonlight. In one of my old decks, it showed the same guy. He had his little stick with his little kit bag on the end of his stick, walking down the road, and he's walking away from something. It's night. He's left at the end of the day. He's done. He's moving. And he's going away from the things that are intolerable, the things that don't mean anything anymore, the things that are empty, the things that have governed him for too long, and he doesn't need those things to govern him anymore. It's having had a failure to recognize that you've let this go on too long and that you have to move away from it. So the card in your current is a card that says to you, the things that are passionate for you, the things that are relationship, maybe, the things that have to do with the loves that you have, that have driven your passions. This card is telling you that you haven't necessarily come to terms with them all the way. Your psyche there's other things going on in your psyche that's prevented you from taking care of whatever this is. And don't deny, if you have a tendency to do this, don't deny the pessimistic tendency that you might have toward whatever this is talking about, because we all have that. Even I do. I say I'm an eternal optimist. I gripe and I complain and I piss and I moan, and I have piss and vinegar sometimes. But overall, I'm a person that I love my life. I love what I'm doing. I get, you get disappointed because, money's not good. Oh, I'm too fat. Oh, this isn't working for me. Things like that. But overall, I'm a very positive person. And I think this is not what it's talking about. It's talking about even positive people, good people, optimistic people can get drawn down by the pessimism of things that we hold on to. And this is a card that says those things that you have held on to, whether you realize it sometimes or not, it's saying you're letting something govern you from the past. And now you've got to treat that as though it's intolerable. You've got to put the old emotions away and move away from them. So you have got your kit bag metaphorically over your shoulder, and you're walking down the road, maybe even whistling a happy tune, because you're finally coming to terms with, I can leave that behind. That thing doesn't have to drive me anymore. It's an act of cognitive will. You're the one who's putting your foot on the road. You're the one who's walking along the road. You're the one that's under your own power walking away. You're not leaving on a jet plane. You're not hopping in a taxi cab or in an SUV. You're setting out on foot and you're walking away. So the symbolism is under your own power. You're pushing yourself out of any possible pessimism and not letting that old thing govern you anymore. All right? You're coming from the Empress. This card right here is your recent past. Now, by recent past, I always like to remind ourselves that the recent past is now backwards. So it's an hour ago, a day ago, 2 days ago, a week ago, 2 weeks ago. It's something that's very recent in what you're doing. And this is the Empress card. And I think it's a beautiful card. And it's slightly implied here that it's fertility. I want you to take a look at something here. And if you look at her, she's standing in front of this cornucopia. She's the energy of the great mother. She's nature, and she's around us. She's within us. It's this ever-growing source of life-giving power. That's who the Empress is. And she is somebody that advises you to trust your good sense. And by the way, in this, I was going to say, you can also see, if you look very closely, it's implied in this imagery, she's pregnant. There's fertility going on. This is recognizing that you're capable of demonstrating the finest that you can put forward out of your own self. You're forgiving. You have a generous attitude. You've got all these good qualities, and it's this fertility of mind, this fertility of spirit, this maturity of knowing who you are. It's taking full credit for your part in something and applying that to how you conduct your life. And this is the fertility here, the pregnancy here is recognizing your part in the life that was given to something now in your past, and you're coming to this realization. And this is something now then that you're moving away from this. This is the energy that's brought you here. This might not even be the circumstances. This is the energy that's brought you in your recent past to the realization that you're in the Eight of Cups and that you need to walk away, or walk away at least metaphorically from the thing that's driving you. This might not be the literal situation that happened in the past, but more the energy that's going on in you that's helped you realize that stuff in your recent past has put you in a position of needing to move down the road, need to move either physically or or in reality, or metaphorically, to move away from something that's governed you emotionally, because you're the Empress. You have this fertile, creative energy going on. And in your recent past, just in recent times, recent days here, hours even, you've come to this realization, maybe even not for the first time, but again, that I need to expand. I need to move away from that which is not profitable to me. And by profitable, I don't mean materially. The things that are not good for me, the things that are that I don't even tolerate anymore, the things that I don't need to have govern me. All right, don't want to kick that dead horse, but I hope that's. I want you to get that feeling, is that you have been the Empress in your mind in your recent past, which has led you to making a decision about whatever it is going on in your life that you need to move away from and let go of the old. Let go of the old burning, pessimistic thing that might keep your mind unfocused from where you are. Get away from that stuff that went on in the past. You don't have to let it govern you anymore. And now the card of your near future. This is the power you're moving into. This is the Nine of Wands. And Wands is that suit of, again, of your emotion. It's all the passion you put into something. And you see in this card There's a woman who is outside the gates of her home city, used to be demonstrated in military terms. You're home to mend wounds. You've done everything you can to bring a situation to its successful conclusion, and the full range of possibilities is now lies ahead of you. If you notice very closely here, she's wearing a bandage around her forehead, and that bandage is the wound that's been bound up. And now she's home. Take a break, get away from it, rest, but rest with one eye open. The idea is because you're not out of the thick of it, but you're there to get the much needed furlough from what's going on, because you're moving away from something and you've now accepted that. And that's going to be, sometimes it's a painful process, but sometimes it's just the process of letting go, feeling the wounds heal, but be careful to not let them come in again. It's the idea of sleeping with one eye open, because it could reattack you if you're not cogent of that possibility. So there you go. That's what you're moving into. Hope that makes sense for you, Suze. And you're leaving something behind. You've got the power of the Empress that's put you there. And you're moving into something, a time where you've got to take a break, but keep your eyes open. All right. Some of them are around. Yeah, there's definitely archetypes in here. Archetypes, however you want to say that. So, Suze, I hope that worked well for you. All right, let's move on. All makes perfect sense, she says. Let's move on to Melinda. Melinda, got you next. And I've got to not get too detailed here. I'm trying to keep these light, but when you get a message that's in your head, I'm not trying to go, oh, the gods are speaking to me. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying, when you get a message in your head, and even saying that way makes it sound like, oh, the message has been delivered, now I must present it to you. I'm not doing that. I'm saying sometimes you get in your head something that comes into your mind and you say, I got to say that about this. So there you go. Let's see. Have a fantastic weekend, says Audrey. See y'all in the usual places. All right. She must be taken off from work now. Have a good evening, Audrey. Thank you for being here. All right. Here we go. Influenced by esoterica, Ron. I wouldn't use that phrase. Esoterica to me is not an influencer. It's a thing. It's not an influencer in and of itself. I see esoterica as the art of, or the craft, the tools and all of these things. It's the definer rather than the spirit of something that's doing something or making something happen. It's almost the label put over it. It's I think it's all the universal archetypes. It's all that stuff we know exists out there but can't always define. It's that breaking through that barrier to the diaphanous. The things that we know spiritually, we know there are certain things. We understand that, or we believe by faith that certain things exist. And those are the things that I think are working through all of this. They're delivering those messages. They're bringing energy to you. They're bringing messages to you to know how to govern yourself, how to work, how to operate. And I think it's dangerous sometimes to use something like this to govern yourself, but it's sometimes nice to get a clue. I like to read for the messages that tell us more about the energies working around us and what's going on, rather than, okay, now you have to walk down to the end of the street and look for the man in the blue pinstripe suit with the pink carnation in the briefcase. Once you see him, then step out, because if you step out before that, the bus is going to hit you. I don't predict that way. That's more on a psychic level. This is more, it's things to confirm. Exactly. Here we go, Melinda. Let's shuffle up for you. The rate I'm going, we're only gonna get through the ones I have on my list. So let's see how far we get here. You're number 3, Melinda. Let's see. Just almost misshuffled that and had a splay of cards all over my lap. And one more time for Melinda. Okay, Melinda, once again, if you were here, have you cut the deck? So I'm going to do that for you. Boom. All right. Here we go. The card of your current situation is the 8 of Wands. If you see that, the Wands is the suit of your emotions, the fire of an exuberance and excitement of youth that you bring to the table. This is your current situation. Your near past is the Magician. It's the Magician card. And the card of your near future is the Chariot. So this is a pretty good reading. 2 out of 3 of your cards is from the Major Arcana, which is going to tell you something right away. When you get an over preponderance of the cards, or in a big reading, 3 of one suit or 3 of the Major Arcana, it's a message. It's telling you something. And you got 2/3 of your cards here that are from the Major Arcana that are telling you message from God, message from the Spirit, message from the universe. Listen to this. It's important to you. So the 8 of Wands, that's this card. This is a card that deals with your emotional makeup. It's in your current situation. This is a card of who you are, where you're at right now, what's going on. And the 8 of Wands is something that says you've kind of succeeded at something. You're moving forward. You're doing things the way you need to. This is the card of upward mobility. This is the card of moving forward. This is the card of kind of having your shit together. And hang on a second. I don't know what that was. Nobody's here. My wife and kids are all gone up to the cabin, her mother's cabin, for the weekend. I don't go up there. So for various reasons, I'll tell you the shady tale one of these days, folks. But so I'm here alone, and I don't know if that was thunder or if I heard something booming around out there. I always listen. You always keep your ear open. I'm not one of those who thinks there's something weird at every turn of sound or something like that. But sometimes you hear stuff and you go, I don't know what that was. All right, here we go. And the cat's right there, so sleeping. So here we go. 8 of Wands, you're upwardly mobile. You're moving forward. This is the idea that you've accomplished something, even for the period clothing this woman is wearing. She is almost like the astute businesswoman of her day is the idea. So this is the idea that she's successful. She's become successful by the things she's put her hands to, by the things she's got her emotions wrapped up into. And by emotions, I don't mean passions. I'm not talking about emotionalism. I'm talking about the emotive things of our lives that drive us and make us go. And all this is doing is putting her forward. It's those rods, those wands are all shooting in an upward fashion, which is showing you that everything in your abilities right now is pushing you in an upward. So you're in a current situation, Melinda, where it's saying to you, and I hope this isn't something where you can sit back. You have to sit back and go, oh, cool. I guess I'm in an upward. You should recognize this. There should be something that's going on in your life right now. You're seeing your current moving the way it's supposed to go, moving in that direction, bringing you upward rather than downward, not even at an even keel. You're moving up. And a lot of this is because of this energy in your past. And it's the Magician. And the Magician card, I've loved the Magician card because the Magician is the one who has the ability to pull all there's a couple of thoughts I have going on at one time. That's why I'm pausing. He's the one who is able to pull. Here, if you look in this, he's got all this stuff around him. And I've had an old deck that used to show all this stuff floating in the air around him. He's the Magician is the one that can pick and choose. It's this thing here and this and this and this. And he brings them all in and he chooses the ones that he's going to use to make the potion, to cast the spell that gets his desired effect. And the thing I was thinking of, I used to talk about this card and talk about It's rather like miracles in the Bible or Jesus in the Bible. He was a naturalist, a natural magician. You notice the things he did all had to do with natural things. He was walking on water, turning water to wine, raising the dead. Some of these miracles that he performed. It wasn't like he didn't make like, coin out of midair from behind your ear. That wasn't what he was doing. He was doing these natural things. And this is what the magician does. He's in tune with his surroundings. And the magician is able to pull all these elements out of the air to design what they need to do to get done. And so this is not describing a situation rather than an energy that you have been experiencing. And again, whether you can define it that way or not, you have to recognize by looking back into your recent past to say, oh, I kind of see where I've done that. You've taken and you've made things happen. You are that magical spiritual leader of your own self. And you're making those things happen. Because you've done that, it's put you in that upwardly mobile position in your current. And now it's pushing you into the near future, which is the Chariot. Now, the Chariot, I always like to call, you don't even see the chair, barely even see the chariot. You see the wheel down at the bottom here somewhere. But you're the chariot driver. You're the one who drives this chariot. You lead it. You have the diplomacy necessary. You have the skills necessary, the skill set necessary to drive this chariot, to make it go where you want it to go. You're the one who has the ability to make the horses. You're leading them to water. You're making them drink. And you're making them think it was their idea to take the drink because you've got the skill to do that. So this is a card that says all of this stuff, the magician to the upward mobility, it's driving you into this near future, which hasn't happened yet. So you've got to, it hasn't fulfilled itself yet. It hasn't all actualized, but you're already moving into this energy because you're already in your near future from when we started the reading. So you are the one who has to appropriate the power and the skill of the negotiator, of the, what's the word I'm looking for? The diplomacy. You're the one who leads the team. You're the one who has to take the team to the water, make them drink, make them think it was their choice. And that's because you're the driver. You've got the reins in your hand. You're the one making it go. And this is the position you're going to go into. Now, none of this tells me what that has to do with the presence of the wands, the 8 of wands again, in your current says it's all about your emotional makeup. It's the stuff that you bring to the table. It could have to do with relationship. It could have to do with business. It could have to do with being a mom or a sister or an aunt or whatever you are. Maybe you're none of those things. Maybe you're all of those things. So it's you moving yourself in an upwardly mobile fashion because you have to recognize it in your recent past. You have to keep using what you've got, and that's the power of the magician, the power to harness the energies, to make them do what you want them to do. You realize it's really the same thing the chariot driver does. She grabs the reins and makes the horses and the team go where she wants them to go. You're the one making things work. And in a sense, you are the manipulator. And I'm using that in a positive sense because you're manipulating or shaping things the way you need them to be. Tracy Dyer says influence. That's exactly it. You're the influencer on things because you're driving that team that you're a leader in to do something. And you've got to do it by example. So there's the influencer thing. Thank you, Tracy. That was a great word for that. So there you go. Melinda, I hope that makes sense for you. Totally what's going on in your life. That's good to hear. And keep that magician working for you. And that's really for anybody. That magician is something you've got to take on and make it happen on your own. And I wish I had my own magician card there. If you look at some of the artwork on my website, I've got my own magician that I made for my deck. He's in there somewhere. You'll see him. So let's see. Let's go next on the list. Tracy. Oh, Tracy, you're right there. You're next. And Let's shuffle up for Tracy. All right, here we go. There's once, and I'm just clearing the cards for you, rearranging them. Again, not that anybody who can deliver a message spiritually needs my activity at all, but this is the way we're delivering the message. They're not down here talking to you in the face, so they're using this mode to deliver something at this particular time because we're doing it. If we weren't doing this, they may still have the message for you, but they'd have to find another way to give it to you. Sometimes it's through a song you hear. I've had messages given to me by watching a television commercial, and something speaks to me and go, oh, man. So, messages are delivered in all kinds of ways. Klaatu, good to see you. We're lined up for now, but let's see where we're at when we finish this part of the list. All right. Tracy, I'm going to cut the deck for you as if you were sitting here with me. And we'll go just like that. All right, we're ready to roll here. Okay, Tracy. Your first card, the card of your current position, is the Ace of Wands. You see this here? Ace of Wands. In this deck, all the aces are represented by the angels. And this is, again, in your emotions. Again, meaning the wands, which we've talked about tonight. The card of your recent past is another ace. It is the Ace of Swords. And the card of your near future is one up from the ace. It's the Two of Wands. All right? Now, Ace of Wands is in your current. This is a card that is telling you this. You look at this card, and you can see that it's represented by an angel. She's wearing red, which is, in this particular deck I have, she's got the wands are all dressed. There's some kind of red, a red curtain, red clothes, whatever it might be. She's got that as the signifying exuberance, youth, excitement, and all of that stuff. And the ace in a suit symbolizes pivotal acts. It's like stuff that's coming to you, being given to you, being offered to you. You're on the threshold. I always say of all the aces that when you see them, they're holding a door wide open that they've opened for you. But the job, the onus is on you to walk through that. That's your fateful step. They can't push you through the door. But what they are doing is they're kind of setting loose this chain of events that's leading you to a desired goal, to something you want to accomplish. It's the building of this necessary commitment to see a project through, things like that. And this encourages this energetic movement toward activity. Brace yourself. Get ready to spring into action. You might need to make your move soon, so you have to be really prepared for what you're doing. You have to trust your instincts, your spontaneity, because when the opportunity comes, you got to jump on it. And again, it's that fire and zeal of youth. It's excitement. It's not having all the trappings of being old and worn out or old and overcautious. It's that exuberance of movement. Make it happen now. And this is your emotional makeup. This is the looking in the mirror. And, I don't know, it's like biting the lid off of something going, God damn it, I'm just fantastic at what I'm doing. And I'm moving into this thing. This is the feeling I'm getting out of this. And so in your emotional makeup, this ace has opened up a door to you, has opened it up wide and said, look, you've got everything it takes. Go, make it happen, seize it. Don't hesitate. Those who hesitate are lost. That's what this card is. It's the ace, it's the angel, it's the don't be lost in this, and it's not about not being cautious. It's about using your time right and moving. And now it's good. It's in your current. Go is the idea. Express your ambitions. The wands are also creativity. Express that. Creativity doesn't necessarily mean you're an artist. Maybe you are. Maybe you're an artist of some sort, or maybe your creativity lies in the way you do things, the way you put things together. So it says use that right now. Now's the time. Use it. So Tracy, if you're hearing that, that's exactly where you are right now. Now, what was this card again? Oh, the Ace of Swords. This is the card of your recent past. Now, this is kind of what's brought you to this point, and it's very recent. It could be today, it could be earlier yesterday, it could be something like that. But this is something. This is a card of the rational mind, its ability to discriminate. Swords are they're conflict, but they're also prowess. It's that ability to cut through crap. Um, it's the ability to also be cutting as well as being cut, because this is it's conflict. But this the ace here, the angel representing the ace, is this ability to cut through the crap, to see things as they really are, in order to pierce illusion, to differentiate between fantasy and reality. This is the stuff in your recent past. This is what this card means. It's a card that says, be steady. You're about to reach your objective. Oh, God. I sometimes laugh. It's sometimes just because I'm amazed at how the messages sometimes just perfectly correspond with each other. You've got this card that's you've got this exuberance and this thing you've got to move forward now because you've got everything you've been doing to build to this, and now you're there. Do it. Don't hesitate. Use what you know, what you got. And then you got the card that's backing that up, that's just saying, don't hesitate, because you got to concentrate on the things you've done that make impact. So this card of your recent past has dumped you off in your present and is saying to you, you're about to reach your objective. And that was a little earlier than now. This is the recent past. And so you've got another angel, another one of these aces that is telling you, this is where you are. This is the cool thing about the Tarot to me, is when you start to see these things relate to each other, even in a small spread like this, you start to see what's going on. And this card right here, this angel, it's your eye is keen, your grip is firm. Let the arrows fly. Let your arrows fly. Set aside distractions. Hit your mark. The reward is insight. It's clarity. There's no time to hold back. This is all about not worrying about the consequences. When you access this level of truth, you're likely to cut through all the illusion and all the nonsense, all the bullshit that's out there, and move forward. It's affecting me, even my delivery of this, because it's so crystal clear. Now, having said all that, this is the card of your near future. This is the Two of Wands. I always look at this card. In my old decks, it showed a guy standing there. He's got all his gear, his packages, his globe. He's all packed up and out. He's at the harbor, and there's a boat out there in the harbor sailing out to sea. Now, what this card signifies in your near future, it's something that says, oh my God, it's a card that says you got your shit together. So much so that, and because of the imagery on the last deck, I adopted this language for it. So much so that your ship has come in. You know, we've all heard that. Oh, your boat's arrived. Your ship has come in, because you've made it. And you got all your shit together and you're down on the dock. You're ready to board your ship. And by the time you get there in this card, all of a sudden you get there and the ship's left without you. It's kind of like, what the fuck? That's the reaction you're left with. Because I got all my shit together. I've got all this planning, all this great energy that's going on behind me and in my current, and then I get here to catch my ship that's come in for me, and I missed it. And you're left standing on the dock with all your junk around you and wondering what happened. Well, the idea is this. The message of the card is that don't sweat it. You've still made it. But it may not happen on your timetable. So be patient. Suck it in, calm yourself. You've got the Ace of Swords working for you. You've got the Ace of Wands working for you. Your stuff is together, but the time's not right. So as you're moving into your near future here now, you might have some holdups. Setbacks is probably too negative a word. It's just not ready yet. It's going to come. Just keep doing what you're doing. And maybe even things you've planned, where you said, I plan to do this next week. Don't stop that. But don't be surprised if you have things that hold it up a little bit, is the idea with this. All that comes into mind in my head is, if there's legal documentation, look at the small print. Small print might hold you back. Whatever it is that's going on in your situation here, you got all this great fire and exuberance and energy that's pushing you, saying, don't stop, don't hesitate, don't do all this, but then it's, hold up, hurry up and wait. It's not happening yet, but you're ready for it, is the idea. And that could be your attitude. It's one of going, I got all this great stuff happening for me and it's not happening, but I'm damn well ready for it. And because it's going to still happen. That's the idea. And I don't know what this is in there. Now, I hope that makes sense to you. I have to say that maybe you can see in my own, I got a card stuck to the table here. I can't pick the corner of it up. There we go. It affected me. I'm reading that and I'm seeing that. And all of a sudden I'm looking back and I'm seeing my vocal patterns even got lit up. That happens to me sometimes, but that says to me, there's something there. There's something that there's a message there that's very good for you. Not much negative in that other than keep doing what you're doing and don't let the negativity or the things that hold you up set you back, because it's not a setback. All right. Good. I'm glad it rings true. Okay. Don't be in a hurry for a red light. Yeah, exactly. There you go. All right. Let's move on to Terry. We got Terry, then Betsy, then Susie Q. Left on the roster here, and we're at 10:21 already. So, Terry, front and center. If you're right here anymore, Terry, come on in, and I'll start shuffling for you. Folks, there you are. Fantastic. So, folks, if you like what you're hearing, if you want to get a reading, if you weren't here earlier when I mentioned this, go over to my site, scottallenroberts.com, click on the Tarot link, and if you buy the $45 5-card spread in there, you will get the 10-card spread for that price. Just go sign up for it, then get a hold of me. We'll put you on the schedule this week. But buy that. But you got to do it by midnight tonight, midnight Central Standard Time tonight, which is about another hour and 40 minutes away. Do that tonight, and you'll get the 10-card for the 5-card price. There you go. And the only reason I've got those prices on there, I talked about this last week a little bit, is because it's not like I've got the message of the gods, and for $10 I'll give you the message from your God. It's not like that. It's you're not paying for the message, you're paying for my time and the years I've put into this. And that's the only way I justify it, the best way to say I only charge, because that's some of the critics out there that poo-poo the whole phenomenon anyway. Well, you're just snake oil, you're selling messages from the gods or angels or spirits, and we don't even know if those things exist. And no, what I'm doing is I'm saying I put enough time into this to study it and to know what it is and develop delivery, how to talk about it, how to link things together and all of that. So without talking too much about that, that's what I'm charging you for. The message is free because it's not from me. So there you go. If you go take care of that, if you want to have a reading from me this week, we'll get you on the schedule. 10-card reading for the 5-card price over on my website. Now let's shuffle up here for Terry. Here we go. And again, as I shuffle, I only shuffle this. I do it 3 times. It's a habit. It's just to rearrange the deck in you. And I'm thinking of you as we go here, Terry, that this is something that is for you specifically. And now you can see why I don't like to know a lot about people's lives or what questions might be on their mind. I don't like to read for people's questions. I read the energy that's there. If you give me a question and your gods or your angels or your spirit guides or whatever want to have a different message for you than other than what you're asking, they're going to go, no, that's not what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about this. You might get something completely different, but I'm focused on your question and wondering what I'm seeing there. So I don't like to be focused on that. I just like to go in open and free. If you were here, Terry, I'd have you cut this deck. So I'm doing this for you right now. Here we go. Let's get your first card out. Your first card is the Three of Coins. All right. Three of Coins. I'm trying to get the light to not reflect on that, right? That's your current situation. Coins, prosperity, the nuts and bolts of managing the material things of your life. Could be money. Here you have your recent past is the Hanged Man. Not the Hung Man. Get your mind out of the gutter. It's the Hanged Man. That was just a little Tarot reader's joke. All right, here we go. And the card of your near future is the King of Coins. And coins having to do with the material aspects of your life. Okay, here we go. Three of Coins. Now, this is a card, and you got two coins, by the way, in here, and one from the Major Arcana. So this is about the material things in your life. This could be your job. It could be your money. It could be things that you're putting your hand to make your life work the right way on a material level. This card right here, the Three of Coins, that shows a couple of guys are together. This guy's the artist in front. The guy behind him's like his solicitor, his barrister, his lawyer, his attorney, his contract writer. This is something that's saying that you, for whatever talents you have, be that a creative talent, be it a business talent. Sometimes you can be talented. That doesn't necessarily mean you're an artist. Sometimes it could just flat out mean you're an artist. This is somebody who's put all his talents into what he's doing. It could be entrepreneurial. It could be within a company structure. But this guy, the guy with the beard up front there, kind of looking over his shoulder at you, he's the guy that is the artist who is being recognized for his work, being recognized for what he's brought to the table. The other guy is the guy that's writing up the contract, that's saying, okay, you've been hired, you've been contracted, you've been recognized in such a way that it's now going to benefit you financially. It's going to benefit you materially. And I always hate predicting money because predictions are rugged things. Because if they don't turn out the way we think they do, then they weren't predictions at all. This is just your current atmosphere. This is something that's saying something's gone on where you've gotten recognition and it's going to benefit you on the material plane. Be it through money, be it through recognition, be it through advance, whatever it might be. So this is you, recognized for what you do. Keep your hand in it. It's in your current. You're the artist. You're the creative, and it's moving you forward. And it could involve legal documentation. It could involve just the legalities of being recognized, selling your work or selling yourself, your talents, your skills, your intuitions, whatever it might be. And it's coins. So I want to say it has to do with nuts and bolts of life, the material things. It could be a job. It could be what you bring to the table. That was my cat, if you heard that. He thinks he's hungry again. My cat is, I'd love to just rename him Fatso, which is it's an ugly word. But that's what he is. Big, fat, old black cat that we can't get skinny no matter what we do. We can't help him lose weight. I feed him a half a cup in the morning, a half a cup in the evening. He's been fat for years. And it just doesn't come off of him. And he's always hungry. He's always yowling at me, feed me. If you don't feed me, I'll eat one of your children. So that's the noise you're hearing if you hear him in the background. Yeah, don't make the cat angry. He might eat your feet at night. All right, here's your hung man in your recent past. Now, the idea with the hanged man is in the older rider weight decks, it would show a man hung from his ankle, hanging upside down by one leg, his hands bound behind his back, money falling out of his pocket. So this is the card of your recent past. The hanged man is that card that says you've lost some ground. You're hung up, literally. The meaning, I mean, is literally you're hung up. So much so that it feels like you're hanging upside down with your money falling out of your pockets. You're losing ground. You're losing what you got. It's falling out of your pockets. That's your recent past. And you feel like you're in this stasis that you can't get out of. So you may have experienced in your recent past, if you're a creative, you know this feeling. You know the starving artist roller coaster syndrome. Hey, we're rich today. Oh, we're poor today. I don't know if that's what it is for you, but you do have the artist in that card of prosperity. So whatever it is that's your talent, in the recent past, you have either been unemployed or needing employment, or you would love to advance yourself. I don't know if that's exactly what it is because none of these cards say unemployment. It says advancement in your current for the things that you do and the things that you bring to the table. So this hanged man might feel like being unemployed, and I'm using up what little money I have, or my unemployment benefits have run out, or whatever. That's the money falling out of the pocket. It could be just purely symbolic, just feeling held up on your ideas. I'm not getting where I want to be. I'm not advancing. I'm losing ground. I'm getting stale because I haven't done. It could be like a mom who had kids and decided to be a stay-at-home mom and then said finally she's getting, after 6 or 7 years, back into the workplace. And she's like, I feel stale. I got to go. I got to do something. I got to move. I got to make it happen. I see this in my own wife sometimes. It's that stagnancy that comes from saying, I love my kids. I love being a stay-at-home mom for the last 10 years, but I could sure use a little interactivity with other people that have a language barrier that doesn't end at 10. And I'm not speaking to that specifically. I'm going off on that because it was an example that popped in my head. Feeling hung up, feeling unable to move forward is the hanged man. And there's a little bit more to him. The hanged man here, he can also have this quality of, how do I want to say this, of not feeling as if he's contributing anything, not just to his own life, but to those people around him. It's the lack of ability to help himself, the lack of ability to help anybody else that's there. I don't know why this person who made this deck has this is kind of a, I don't even understand the imagery she has on this in particular. I don't know if this is supposed to be Prometheus, Prometheus Unbound, perhaps. I don't know in this deck. And while I like the imagery, I'm not quite sure what this one means. But this is an advice to surrender any illusion you have of control. How about that? Your recent past has been this realization that I have no control over anything. Sometimes this shit just happens to me. It's not a negative judgment. It's just that sometimes there are things where you've been overcome, deceived by your own devices, that you being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And so this is the card now, this hanged man says, stop resisting it. Don't resist and let the circumstances, let some time go by. and you're going to get released from this. So this is your recent past. And something comes to mind, and I absolutely have to read this to you. And this is a message I'd like to share with everybody too. Hold on. There is a time when I felt pretty despondent in my life, and I had to figure out what it was that was going on, and I had to just stop. Let me see if this is in here. And I did one of these things that I don't normally do. And here, I want to find something for you. I'm kind of surprised it's not right there. Hang on, here it is. Maybe this will work. All right. I'm looking for a particular version of the Bible because I want you to hear something that I think is, there it is, versions. And it's the Message is what I was looking for, because that's something that I originally read this from. There it is. Okay. This is out of James 1, and James is chronologically the first book written in the Old Testament. I want you to hear this. Now, all this I've been talking about the hanged man, and everybody else, kind of take this to heart too, about things that hold you up. And Terry, I don't know if this makes any sense for you, or if it's going to be something you even want to hear. But what I found about the hanged man, there was one time when I was in a lot of darkness for my own life, and pretty held up, and I was still very much part of my faith and in the church at the time. We're talking 25 more years ago. And I said to God, I said, I don't even know what to do anymore. I'm held up. Money's falling out of my pocket. I don't know where I'm going. I'm hung upside down by my ankles. And I said, I'm going to do something I've never done before. I don't think I've ever done it since. I said, I'm going to take my Bible. I'm going to open it up with my eyes closed. I'm going to stick my finger in, and whatever it hits, that I'm going to take as something that you want me to know. And I was still very much in the church, so I was speaking to God and of God. And I did that. I flipped my Bible open. I stuck my finger in, and I hit on this verse in James. He said, consider it a sheer gift, friends, when tests and challenges come at you from all sides. You know that under pressure, your faith life is forced into the open and shows its true colors. So don't try to get out of anything prematurely. Let it do its work, so you become mature and well-developed and not deficient in any way. And that's what struck me when I was thinking about the definitions of the hanged man. It was, don't rush it. Don't rush to get out of it. Let it take its, just hang there upside down and look at the scenery around you and adapt to it for a while and just be calm, because this too shall pass is the idea. And that's what made me think of this verse. And when I did this, and it says, and if you don't know what you're doing, pray to the Father. He loves to help. You'll get his help, and you won't be condescended to when you ask for it, but ask boldly, believingly, without a second thought, because people who worry their prayers are like wind-whipped waves. Don't think you're going to get anything from the Master that way. Adrift at sea, keeping all your options open. So this is the passage that I landed on with that. And I don't mean to preach about that. And I don't know what your spiritual standing is. I want you to pull the principle out of that, because even though there are times where I look at the New Testament, I go, I don't believe that on a faith level anymore, quite like that. These men were still writing good words. They were just applying them to their faith. So when you're in the hanged man position, which you're coming out of, I don't know, it may pick up again. You may be there again, but from this card reading, I don't think you will be. The hanged man is one of, say, let it do its work. This is where you've been. And now that, all of that energy's plopped you into the Three of Coins. You're being recognized for your abilities, something you're bringing to the table. and it's going to advance you so much that it pushes you into this card of the near future. It is the King of Coins. Now, when you get to the King of Coins, coins again is that suit of your material well-being, your money, your finances, and all of that. And when you hit the King card, a king, like a queen, you get these royal face cards. They mean something. They usually specify a specific signify a specific person in your life. A king, a man, a husband, a dad, a father, a brother, a grandfather, an uncle, a boss, somebody, a male figure that has authority of some sort in your life of either equal or greater status to you. And he's representing, giving you something, bequeathing to you something, representing that good turn. Now, in turn, king cards this could also be you. It could be you practicing or experiencing the energy of this king. It's accomplished, having hit the top of the heap, a practical genius in the world. And this is a thing that's saying you have to behave as if you're already a success. You get that? You got to act with the confidence of this guy. You're already a success. You project a confidence that your plans and your goals are all this process of unfolding absolutely perfectly. You make your moves with authority. You trust your actions. You're going to receive blessing for it. And you've got this confidence that you're attracting to you all the things you need to attract to you to make things work. So when I see that in your near future, that's either representing somebody who is doing this for you, representing a guy who's either bequeathing money to you, paying your way, helping you get through school, helping you get the job, giving you the job. Could be something of all of those things of that nature. Somebody who sets you up financially in your near future. It could even be you. It's just you playing out that role. But it's all based on your current, which is this having achieved so that you're recognized. And so, and you've been in that hangman's position, hanging upside down by your ankles, and you've let it do its work. That's the idea. Let it do its work, be there. But in your current, you're moving forward. It's going to advance you. In your future, you're going to be this King of Cups or meet this King of Cups or somebody you know that's acting as the King of Cups. You're moving forward. Okay. That's all I'm going to say on that because I spent a lot of time on that. And I hope that it's not an empty message. And what I mean by empty messages is, oh, okay, cool. I hope that happens. you know, I think messages like these are generally things you already start to recognize if they're real. It might be that there's somebody out there that's going to be this king in your life and you haven't met him yet, or you don't know that he's that person doing that. So, there could be an element of surprise in there, but this is happening as you're now entering your future. But the other things you should already recognize, the feeling held up to being recognized in your current, there it is. All right. So I hope that meant something for you. I hope it's helpful. We got two more, and it's already 10:42, so I don't think we're going to go beyond these two. I hate to drive anybody away who doesn't want to stick around if I can't get to reading you tonight. But let me remind you one more time, if you go to my website, scottallenroberts.com, click on the Tarr-oh link for about another hour and 20 minutes, and purchase the 5-card reading for $45. You'll get the 10-card reading. And just make that purchase on PayPal, and then contact me, and we'll get you set up for doing a reading. All right. Betsy. Let's go, Betsy. Betsy, you're on deck. Are you there? Hey, Jeannie. Good to see you. So there you are, Betsy. All right, let's roll. Now, this is, let's shuffle up for you and see what's going on. Once and again, just to clear the deck for you. And then Susie Q, you're going to be after Betsy. And we'll see if we have time. If we have time and my head feels good about it, we'll maybe do another one or two. But for now, this is what we're doing. So Betsy, last shuffle. And then if you were here, I'd have you cut the deck with your own hand, but I'm going to do that on your behalf with your mental permission. And here we go. Ready to roll. All right. Card of your current situation. The Four of Swords. Swords is a suit of conflict, the suit of intuition, the suit of cunning, I suppose you'd say, but more, I've always seen this as a suit of conflict you give or get. That's the Four of Swords. That's your current situation. Your recent past is the Ten of Coins, which is actually just a very good card in the material realm. You might just say, I could almost make it very easy and say, this is a card that pretty much says things have been pretty good financially, materially on that plane. That's been your recent past. Not so bad. And then you're passing into the Six of Cups right here, which has to do with your passions and things going on. All right, Four of Swords. This is your current situation. This is being in dire need of taking a break, is what this is all about. You see the guy, he's laying there, and he's not dead, he's sleeping. And it's this message that it's time to take time out. You got to surrender your worldly concerns. You got to retreat to a place of serenity, away from the hustle and bustle. This is a card that's strongly urging is probably a safe word, strongly advising you that you keep your own counsel in whatever your situation is. There may be a lot to fear, and there's hostility in the environment around you for you to be heard, but it might be that your ideas aren't ripe enough, or that you're not ready to listen to feedback from others. If you spend more time in contemplation, you might successfully disregard the emotional occupations and biases of others. So for now, you have to really closely observe all your inner events. The time for sharing stuff is coming later. Avoid emotional corruption from others, from the outside. Don't give up what you have that is good by being so open about it that you're not breaking away from the people that don't need to hear that, the things you don't need to share. Let's see if I can make that clearer. It didn't even sound clear to me. This card has always signified for me the need to take a break, to step away, to contemplate, to meditate, to cogitate without the trappings of having to put up with other people's input. There you go. Everybody else can shut up, in other words. And so much so that this is a need. This isn't an option. Betsy, this is a requirement. This is something you need to be doing right now. If you don't take the break, the idea is you could crumble. You could fall apart. Now, this might not mean taking a vacation to Tahiti and sitting on the beach for a month, or going out to the woods, and camping and being the hermit and getting away from it all. That just might mean extricate yourself a bit. Step back a bit. Don't let your input be corrupted by others. In other words, disregard emotional preoccupation with things. The sword, the cunning, the sometimes conflict. That's what you have to be. You have to rest. And you've got the one sword, he's cradling his sword. The other three are up on the wall behind him. So take a break in your current. You may already be experiencing that. You don't want it to be a forced break. You want it to be, though, a break you're in charge of, but you're doing it for a reason. And the 10 of coins is in your past. This is just simply the pinnacle of the numbered cards in the deck. I'm sorry, in the suit. And the 10 of coins, it's prosperity. It's all of that good stuff. This is abundance. This is the final result of all these cumulative efforts to make it and to have things go well. Think of yourself as the one who may be of great benefit to everybody around you. So no matter whether it's service or it's an invention of an idea or it's the furtherance of your job or your career or whatever you got going for you, you know you're holding this storehouse of value and you're in charge of it. Remember back to when you started on this course, your sincerity, your innocence, your original vision. Reproduce that success. Sustain the inspiration. Be the administrator of your current abundance. This is your recent past. This is where you've been. Things have been good. Not perfect. Good. You're the one that can kind of distribute that. Manage it. Manage it for your family, maybe. And it has to do with prosperity. And so, and you've reached that pinnacle. And that's your recent past, which has brought you into this time where you need to step back a little bit. You gotta contemplate. You gotta not let people push your emotional decisions. All right. And what's interesting, I see in this card of the past, it's got, look at this again. It's got the guy, it's almost like the old dad and his grown daughters. And it's almost like he's managing the estate for them, or managing things so his family is doing well and so on. That's just the imagery. I'm not getting anything special off of that. But then I've got the card of these children, the Six of Cups. Now, look at this closely. Cups, again, is that suit of your passions, the things that drive you on a passionate level. It's refreshing openness. It's innocence. It's willing to learn. It's this optimism with these children here in this card. It's take a look at what is repetitive or cyclical in your life. Didn't this last card in the past say something about it's all the things, it's good to look back, it's good to see where you've been, how you've gotten there, to contemplate that, and now you got to sit down and take a break and figure this all out without the emotional stuff going. Now you got a card that's pretty much saying, look at what's repetitive, the cyclical stuff of your life, the present situation you're in. New beginnings are out of this, and new beginnings require new energy. You could be repeating an older cycle that's a good cycle, but new energy is here. You have to analyze the analyze. What's the word of analysis? Analyze. I'm losing touch with some of my words here tonight. Until you analyze your past and see how you got to where you are and how you do and how you need to further that, you're going to feel like you're going to drift a little bit with the current. So you got to distill everything that's worthwhile from your memories and get as much value as you can from it. Then use that as this card is also called, again, look at this with the kids. It's called the card of nostalgia. It's looking back into the past, the things, the passions, the things that moved you, that drove you. And it's sometimes we get hung up in those things of the past. And the good memories or the bad memories. Sometimes this is about making things. How do I want to say this? How have I said this before? I'm trying to think of how I used to define this card. I haven't read this card for a long time. It's the things that happened to us as kids. There's nostalgia there. The things that happened to us when we were younger or even young adults, and the things we started thinking about and getting us into where we are now. That's nostalgia, but don't get hail back to those things, but don't get stuck in those things. That's the card of your near future. As you're moving forward now, you got this good stuff you've built up. You're taking a break. You have to take a break in your current. But now your current's coming to an end because you're already moving into your near future. So you've got to take that time to meditate, cogitate, and all of that while you're taking the necessary break, but move it into, and that could just mean just take the time to contemplate for a minute where you're going next, how you're going to proliferate what you've already got. And this is the thing that says don't get stuck in the past. The past can hold us up. And this is on an emotional, a passionate level, relationship level, heart level. This is something that's telling you you need to let go of the past. You can hail back to it, but don't let it govern you. Move into the new. Okay? There you go. All right, Betsy, I hope that was accurate for you and meant something to you. Hold on, let me look at something here. There's something going on. Oh, very nice. All right. Let me get my cards up here, and we're going to do Susie Q. By the way, Betsy, I hope that was good. I hope that meant something to you. I hope it had some meaning. All right, here we go. Susie Q. Here we are, and we're 5 minutes to 11. So, folks, I think this is going to be the last reading we do for tonight. But here we go. All right, shuffle up for Susie Q. Okay, now I'm going to take these cards and cut them as if you were the one doing the cutting. I'm going to put that one on top because it got left as a widow on the bottom. And let's move into your reading now. Susie Q. Here's the card of your current situation. It is the Empress, which we've already had tonight. So some of the explanation's already been given if you heard some of that, but we'll go through it again. That's who you are right now. Oh, you've got the High Priestess linked with the Empress in a single reading. That's pretty strong stuff. This is your recent past, bringing you into this Empress. And then you got the Ten of Wands out there in your near future, which is totally different from the first two cards. So this Empress card, we were talking about this earlier. It's fertility, it's creativity, it's having all this know-how that is telling you. And yeah, I see Jeannie. By the way, I see Jeannie over here saying, "Wow." I think, I don't know if it's for this reading, but if it is, I'm thinking it is, because when you get those two cards together, there's something behind that of great power here. The Empress is the trump card, kind of. She portrays this energy of the great mother of nature, everything around us. She's the pre-Christian goddess, if you will. She is the one that who's channeling the High Priestess. And that's why I think the High Priestess is showing up in the past here. You're channeling that through your current. She is. This is a card that says you have to trust the good sense you have, and the good sense that you've shown to this point, the creative energy, the fertile energy you've brought to things in your life all the way up to now. And you see, she's got that cornucopia, which represents all these good things in brief. And she's got that look of being pregnant. She is somebody who is pregnant with ideas, the fertility of life, the giving of life, the expanding of knowledge. All of that is in that. It's caring actions, it's forgiving, generous attitude, all these things about her. This is who you are, in your present right now. You're the Empress. You're that epitome of that ancient goddess right now that's expressing things, but you don't want to go too far and destroy all that you've had. You just want to be able to, that's the negative side of this. You want to use all that energy to show that you are channeling the high priestess, which I think is the epitome of wisdom, of female wisdom, of I'm not talking into my mic, sorry. I get moved forward and I forget that my mic is off behind my ear. So the high priestess, I want you to look at this card now for a second. This is the card of your recent past, but at the same time, this is the card that is bringing you into your present energy with the Empress. This is who you have been up until this moment, where it's dropping you off into your present. And the high priestess is human wisdom. It's uncovering the hidden things. It's adhering to your chosen spiritual practice on a more regular basis. If you want the benefits of evolution, you're going to have to cooperate with the spirit, is the idea here. And something I've always seen about the high priestess card, you see she's holding the books and the scrolls here. The high priestess is somebody who uncovers the hidden things, reveals what's covered up. That could mean the esoteric things of life, that you've opened up these things and you're seeing the secrets of life. And that's putting you into this position as being the Empress, as a creative energy. You're epitomizing that. You're flowing the high priestess through you. Sometimes the high priestess, I'm just going to throw this in there because it's one of the negatives of the cards, has to do with uncovering things that have been hidden from you. Not just the hidden mysteries of the universe, but somebody has hidden something from you. They're keeping something from you. You got to uncover that. Sometimes it's adultery. Sometimes it's unfaithfulness. It's disloyalty. Things like that. And the high priestess has the ability to uncover it. Now, if that's the truth of this, if that applies to you, you're already going to know it. This isn't going to alert you to it. I'm going to say you already know that. Mostly it's her energy. It's this creative, fertile epitome of all the hidden mysteries coming to life in you, and you're expressing that now. That's all coming into your present, making you the Empress. So you're flowing it. You're channeling it. Power, power, power is what this is all about. And I don't mean that abusive kind of power. You know what I mean. It's that power of the intuitive. You know what the hell is going on is the idea. And you know how to apply it, and you can fall back on what you know. So all of this is leading you to this card, this outcome. It's the 10 of Wands. Now, the 10 of Wands, you've got this stack of wands that you're carrying. It's your emotional makeup. Look at this. It's got the red, which is the fire and exuberance of youth, the excitement of things. It's you moving forward. Only it's in those emotional things of life. And the idea with this card is that you're carrying a heavy burden. This is all-out effort, is what this card represents. It's almost this obsessive commitment to your task. You have to remember the true and the simple things of the heart of your youth and all that idealism. You have to look beyond the challenges and the setbacks and the disappointments and the frustrations, which tend to come to you very easily. So you have to, in your near future, you have to reawaken your inner mind, your higher self. What do you think the high priestess is doing for you? And channeling her through the Empress, uncovering those hidden things, waking your inner mind, waking your intuition, waking your high-minded inner child, so to speak, refreshing yourself with purpose. In the old decks, it shows a guy trying to carry this stack of sticks up the hill, way in the background, to a castle up on the hill. And the idea is that he's overburdened. He's carrying too much on himself. He's overburdening himself, and he needs to delegate that load or find a way to lighten that load so he makes it to the goal. Because if he doesn't lighten the load, and I'm going to tell you this, Susie, if you don't lighten the load, you won't make the goal. So you have to apply the intuition, the uncovering of the hidden things, the channeling this into the creative energy, fertile energy of the Empress, to find ways to lighten the load. Now, it could be literally you're just taking on too much. It could be figuratively that you've got to change your course a little bit, change how you achieve the goal. So that's the idea, and you can apply all this knowledge and all this intuition that you have to getting there. All right? Hope that makes sense. You're already on it, you say. Steady and sure, Captain. Well, thank you, Ensign. And I hope that that's meaningful for you. All right, folks. That's all the... I could go on for hours, I'm sure. I'm feeling at the moment like we've gone 2 hours now, and I probably should just stop with my own energy for a little bit here, because I'm stumbling even over words and grasping concepts in my head. So I wish I could go for a swim. All I have to do to go for a swim is step out into the hot, humid air, but then I can take off my hoodie because the air conditioning's freezing in here. So, Topper, thank you. And everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. I hope this stuff is helpful. We're going to try to do this every Friday. I'll try. We'll just do it. We'll schedule it. And if for any reason it doesn't work, we won't do it anymore. But we'll do this for now. If you'd like to get a full reading, come and see me. You've got another little less than an hour to go over to my page, scottallenroberts.com. Click on the Tarot link. And you know Allen is A-L-A-N, not the weird spellings of Allen. So scottallenroberts.com. Click on Tarot. Click on the $45 reading. Send it to my PayPal, and we'll get you scheduled for the 10-card reading. That's just until midnight tonight. If it comes in after midnight, I can't do it. I got to be a man of my word. So if you want to plan that, I'd plan it now. Now, everything else, there is obviously no situation room tonight because it's Friday night, and we did our Friday show already at midnight 23 hours ago. We will be back on Sunday night, which is really Monday morning for our Monday show, at midnight Eastern, 11 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Left Coast Time, Rocky Stucci and I. And boy, I think that's all I've got for announcements and things that are going on. I want to thank you for being here. I appreciate it. You know, I can stick around for a couple of minutes if anybody has any questions about anything, wants to talk about it. Sunday, that's so far away. Ain't that the truth? Melinda, thank you. Lots of love to you too. Let's see, Alexandros. Alexandros. Awesome evening. Take care. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I didn't get a chance to say hi to you earlier. And Jeannie, I said hi to you as we were going in and as we were moving along. So, everybody, if there's nothing else, do I give myself readings? Lewis asks. I haven't for a long time. I might do one tonight because I have the hankering to just try it. I was actually thinking of that while I was reading. But I've heard people say you can't read. Oh, it's taboo. You don't read. That's bullshit. It's not taboo. It's just harder to read yourself because you know yourself so well. And like for me, I can have a tendency to second guess what the cards say because I know myself. I know what's going on in my head. I'm going, well, now, does that mean that or does that mean that? Or, you know, what am I supposed to take away from that? So it's harder for me to read myself. If I want a good reading, I go to Sarah Soderlund, Paranormal Sarah. She's a good friend of mine. I'll have her read for me. Or Nancy Planetta, who Rocky and I have had on our show. These are people that if I really need a reading, I'm going to go to somebody like that and say, please read me. And they will. And any attempts at EVP readings in your own home? I've seen orbs around you. You know, what's interesting is I haven't done a lot of that. I haven't done any of it in this house. We've read stuff in our old houses. We've gotten EVPs in our old houses that we've lived in. I set up this laptop right here in front of me. I set up the sound recorder on it and left it. I went to bed one night. Everybody was gone out of town a couple of years ago, and I was home alone. And I just went to bed, shut my door, and I left that recording on in the main room, recording all night long. And I looked at the line, and I would see blips and things like that, and I'd expand them and listen. Sometimes there was stuff there, and there were some interesting things. Not a lot. I get plenty of stuff around. My wife attracts stuff like you wouldn't believe, and we're not even active into that stuff right now, but there was stuff, we had stuff happening in houses of ours that was activity off the scale. And maybe one night next week, we'll talk about that. We'll just have a little story night, and I'll tell you some of the stuff. Some I've talked about before, others I haven't. But orbs, if you're seeing orbs around me, I don't know what you're seeing exactly, but I can maybe look back and watch it and see if there's anything there. But no, short answer, I haven't done any EVPs here in this house yet. And sometimes I just don't want to raise the activity where my kids are all the time. I'd rather keep it subdued. You start looking for it, you're going to raise it. And I'm not afraid of that. It's more my wife. I will tell you, my wife, Rainey, as I just said, she sees stuff all she attracts the stuff. This house, she sometimes sees stuff, and she'll get up and she'll go looking around, or she'll say, I saw this last night, I saw that. My wife's not weird. But she says sometimes, I don't tell you everything I see and hear because I don't want you to think I'm weird. I go, I've been with you for 15 years. If I don't think you're weird already, you're not going to spring anything new on me. So go ahead and tell me, because I'd rather know. So she sees stuff even in this house. So there you go. Mary wins. Yes, that definitely raises it. Don't need the crowd, that's for sure. Yeah, you start asking it to come in and talk to you, it's going to come in and talk to you. So that's been my experience. So right now I'm keeping it out of the house. That doesn't mean that's forever. It doesn't mean I've got any strong conviction about that. I just haven't done it. And that's kind of what's in the back of my head about it. So anyway. Yeah, we'll get to do some paranormal stuff this next week at the 9 o'clock hour, 9 o'clock Central hour, my show. And we'll talk about stuff. So anyway, there we go. If there's nothing else for tonight, folks, I could sit and talk all night, by the way. I'm just not worth any. I get worthless after a certain point. So, yeah, there are stories. There are interesting things that have happened. I don't get as much of it because I'm not looking for it so much anymore. But when I met Rainey back in 2004, 2005, I was living in a big house in Bloomington, Minnesota. It's a suburb of Minneapolis, not far from the Mall of America area. And it was an older house on a big lot. I had about an acre lot in a residential suburban area, and which was a big lot for that area. And the old house that was there, all kinds of activity in it. And actually, when Rainey and I, before we were even dating, there was stuff that happened to her at that house. She would come to my parties and stuff like that, and we were getting to know each other. But she was one of 50 people that would constantly circularly show up at my house. She came over to my house one night, and maybe, something just hit me. I don't know why I've never thought of this. Maybe it's because she wanted there to be something between us, because I was way over on the west side of Minneapolis. St. Paul is to the east of us, and she was over on the east side of St. Paul, even further. She was a good half an hour and very good traffic drive to my house by the highway. And there were storms and they knocked out all the power. It was about this time of year in 2005. I think it was 2000. Yeah, it was July of 2005. And so you're talking about what, 14 years ago. And she called me up and said, hey, all our power's knocked out. I know you have a big deep freeze in your basement. Would you be willing to let me come and bring some of my stuff over to the deep freeze so it doesn't all melt? I said, sure. And she said, our power's out, and stuff. And so it'd be nice to come and hang out. So they always came and partied. So she came with her good friend, Kat, and Kat's boyfriend, who is now married to Rainey's sister, by the way. So these are all people I knew. And I didn't know Rainey intimately. I knew her. She was a friend. I thought she was fucking gorgeous, damn cute. All of those things going together. But I was older than her, by almost 20 years, by 20 years. And, what can I say? But so she came over and she threw all her frozen goods into my big deep freezer down in the basement. And we all sat around, we were all drinking beers and stuff like that. And I remember sitting there and I was playing chess with my friend Carrie, who was dating Kat at the time, and Kat and Rainey were there. We're all sitting on the floor playing chess. And Rainey came up alongside me, like right here. I'm sitting on, my legs crossed and so on. And she came up and she kind of put her shoulder kind of up in here, like, hey, didn't say anything. And we were all talking. And I thought I was in the way. And I kind of moved back and I went, oh, sorry. And I wasn't paying attention until later. But I think there has to be something to a young woman, beautiful woman, who comes over to your house the night after a storm and travels, instead of to close friends and family, travels all the way to the far side of the next part of town to come over and put stuff in your freezer. And so maybe there was something to that at the time. I can be a little dense sometimes. But it's not that I didn't want Rainey. It's that I maybe wasn't recognizing it, or I was thinking, oh, that's hopeful thinking. I'm not even going to go there in my head. And I remember we're all sitting there, and Rainey said, do you mind if I take a shower? Because our hot water heater's out. And I said, yeah, go right ahead. If you went through my living room, there was an archway, and then you turned immediately to the right, and it went back to the master bedroom and then the master bath. And I said, you go right ahead. And I walked back there with her and I said, there's the towels in here and there's this and that. And then I went right back out and I was having a beer with my other friends and we were talking and playing chess. And I know I'm getting into one of these stories, but this is what I got to tell you about my wife. So she's taking her shower. We're all laughing and having fun out in the main room. And she comes out back through that archway. And she's dressed. She had on this little kind of lacy white top, sleeveless thing and blue jeans. And she came out and her hair was soaking wet and her clothes were wet. And she came out and she stood in the archway and she looks at us and she said, I am done in the bathroom. And we're all looking at her and she's wet and we're like, well, okay. You didn't take time to dry your hair or anything. And she goes, no. I am done in that bathroom. And she said, I had the feeling that somebody was watching me. And she said, I was in the shower and I looked out and there's nobody there. And she said, so I'm all done. I'm getting ready I open up the shower curtain. And she said, and my clothes are folded on the toilet, sitting on the toilet seat. And she said, over at the vanity, I hear something and I look. And she said, the bottom drawer of the vanity opened and slammed shut. And she said, I threw on my clothes and I came out. And she said, I didn't get a chance to dry my body or my hair or anything. And she's standing there all went. So we all went back in there and we're looking at it and we're going, all right, spirits, if there are spirits in the house, don't bug anybody. You're welcome here and whatever. And, we're making a little bit light of it. And we were kind of laughing at Rainey a little bit. And I didn't doubt her. I just, but I'd had experiences in that house already that focused on that bathroom sometimes. We would continually, after Rainey and I were together and we were still in that house, she brought her 2 cats over. I had a cat. And so we had 3 cats in the house. And we had a party there one night. And we put all the cats in that bathroom away from the public bathroom, shut them in there. And what we found is that no, I'm sorry, it wasn't that night. But my daughter, while she was throwing the cats in there, saw one of the drawers open and she just shut the door. And she said, she came to me in the party and she goes, one of my daughters, Bryn, who is one of my mermaid tailed daughters. She's 27 now. And I think she had to be, this is 14 years ago. She was 13. She said, Dad, I'm just a little freaked out. I just want you to know. And she's talking in a voice like this because we got a party going on. Just want you to know that I opened the door. I saw the door come open and the door slammed shut. And so I shut the door and I came out here. I'm freaked out. I go, okay. I said, I'll take care of it. And so that happened. And now there was another time where we're looking for the cats and we can't find the cats anywhere. And we go back around through the arch and around the corner down to the master suite. And all of a sudden, I don't know why I said that. We notice that the bathroom to the master bathroom is closed. And we hear the cats meowing in there. It's like, oh, that's strange. And I go and I turn the doorknob and I try to open the door and I can't. The door opens about that far, maybe an inch to an inch and a half, and it hits the open vanity drawer, blocking the door. So on the inside, you got the door, and the vanity drawer has come out, and you open the door, and you're hitting the vanity drawer. But the thing is, all 3 of the vanity drawers were open, and the door was hitting them. I had to take a knife. I took a butter knife. I remember that's the quickest thing I could get my hands on, and stick it through that crack and work those drawers all shut like that in order to be able to open up the bathroom door. And you believe me, when I tell you, I ripped that vanity apart trying to figure out, did the cats get that open? Did they get inside the vanity somehow and crawl into the drawers? But no, this was a new bathroom that had been put into this older house. And it was all these spring-loaded drawers. Because I remember I would pull the drawer out to see how far can I get the drawer out before it won't spring back closed again. They had a spring action on them, so they would close. And I'd pull them out, and you had to pull them out almost 2 inches before, when you let go, they wouldn't close anymore. So with up to 2 inches, if you let go of the drawer, it would snap back shut. Just roll back shut. And there was no way for the cats to get through the vanity. There was no, if you open up the cabinet doors under the sink, it was all solid there. There was no way to get behind. There was no way to get underneath. No way for the cats. There hadn't been handles put on them yet. You could use the lips and open them up, but there had been no handles put on, so nobody could open the drawer. And that spring action gave it a little tight. You had to kind of break the spring action to open the drawer. And so I did all that. I pulled that all apart. And there was no way for that to happen. And just an addendum to this story, with that night that Rainey was there, they were going to spend the night. My kids were all at my ex-wife's house for the weekend. I had sole custody of my 3 kids. I was raising them. They lived there with me. And they were gone for the weekend. And so Rainey, she had asked when they were bringing the freezer stuff, can we all hang out at your place tonight? Sure. And so they were all going to spend the night. And then after the shower incident, Rainey was like, she said, I think I'll go home. She said they wanted to stay because I had the air conditioning. It was so hot and muggy and humid from the storm that afternoon. And so she ended up not staying. And so they went out. And then the next morning, bright, beautiful, sunshiny, the humidity broke. It was glorious, beautiful summer day. and I'm sitting in my office. I'm all alone in the house. And I drink a pot and a half of coffee back then every morning. And I'd meander back and forth to the bathroom a couple of times. And right around noon, I went back to the bathroom again. And I rounded through that archway around the corner, and I looked, and all the drawers were open again. And they hadn't been at two other times. I'd been back there in the morning, or however many times I'd passed between there and my office. And all these drawers were open, and they were like a step. And so I remember I stood in the bathroom, I closed them, and I said, okay, whoever's here, you're welcome to be here. I said, but if you scare my children, I said, I will make you gone. I will find ways to eradicate you. And so that's something very interesting that happened just the very next morning after Rainey had been there and experienced what she did. And there's more to this story, and I'll tell you, there'll be a day next week where I'll get into this, and I'll tell you this story. So hold on a second. Oh, I just got a little announcement from Rocky Stucci. I think I can announce this. He just sent me something. He says, yo, he says, Jeff is coming up. Jeff Dougherty's coming up here to where Rocky and I live from Kansas City. I think he's near. He's coming up on the 14th, and we're going to go do a live video and audio broadcast down at the Depot Bar and Grill in Hastings. That might be Thursday, the 15th of August. And so there you go. So that place is very haunted. Rocky and John Ward and I did a broadcast from there years ago. So you're going to get to see the meatball, the cannoli, and I don't think Jeff's got his nickname yet. Just Jeffrey Dougherty, the Christian whistleblower. We're going to all three be live together in a couple of weeks, and we'll announce it all as it comes close. So there you go. Oh, there you go. There's Rocky in the channel. It's on. He says, that's fantastic. It's going to be good to see Jeff live again, face to face. And the last time I saw him, Rocky and I saw him, was at the last Paradigm Symposium, May of 2015. So it'll be good to see Jeff again, face to face. The blower. Yeah, there it is, Michelle. All right, folks. I've told a story I wasn't going to tell tonight. You talked me into it. You spent my arm. Actually, I love telling the stories, but we'll do some of that next week. We'll talk about that stuff. So now that it's 11:26 and we've been on for 2.5 hours, it's time to go. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here because the channel's closing. Thanks for being here. Go pick up stuff at Son of a Patriot. Go pick up a reading. Well, it's you got a half an hour left to go get a reading. Buy the $45 reading, you get the $85 reading. The 10-card reading for $45. Go sign up, write me, call me, we'll get you scheduled. Thanks for being here. Like this video on the way out. Share this. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. I can't believe you aren't already if you aren't. So at that, have a good night. Thank you for taking your time to spend your time with me. Means a lot to me. Love you, folks. Talk to you soon.